Hi Chris, thanks for coming in today. My name's Seth Rosenberg. Let me tell you a little bit about the Rosenberg Law Group. We opened our doors about 7 years ago in the height of the recession, and we did that because we were primarily motivated in trying to keep people in their homes. As you know, that was a lot of people who were having their homes foreclosed on. At least here in King County, a lot of those problems have gone away, but there's still enormous credit card and medical debt and other unsecured debt, as well as student loans, and we've shifted our focus to that.
I get the impression that credit card debt's a big problem in the U.S.
Yeah, Chris, it's a huge problem. On average in the United States, each household owes $5,700 in credit card debt, and in Washington State it's even more. It's over $6,200. And that doesn't include medical debt or unsecured debt from second mortgages or things like that. In fact, unsecured debt as a whole has risen in the United States to $5.7 trillion. That does not include student loans.
So if you owe money to collections agencies, credit card companies, medical debt, home mortgages, what do you do?
Well, there are really three things you can do. Obviously, one, you can file bankruptcy, but we really consider bankruptcy to be a last resort. It impacts your credit, and you can only file bankruptcy periodically, every 8 years between Chapter 7s, etc. The second thing that you can do is you can actually litigate on the debt. That means that if you don't actually owe the money, or they can't prove that you owe the money, or if the statute of limitations has run because the debt is old, or if they didn't properly serve you, all of those things can be litigated, and it could well be worthwhile doing that. Last, you can settle the debt, which means offering generally a lump sum money to the creditor so that the debt will be resolved.
But I've heard that you have to be late or in default to settle the debt for less.
You know, that is actually true. Now, an attorney shouldn't advise you to go into default to settle a debt, but on the other hand, credit card companies aren't going to settle a debt for less than full value because, I mean, if you think about it, why would they? If you're still making your monthly payments and you're still showing them that you can make the debt.
So how can I get a good deal settling my debt?
If you're in default, creditors will take less than full value, and for reasons that are probably obvious, which is that they're concerned that the debt, that they may not be able to collect anything on it. And oftentimes people have legitimate hardship stories behind their defaults. People get in accidents, people get sick, people lose their jobs. And we bring those personal circumstances to the creditor's attention along with a lump sum offer for a lesser amount, and quite frequently they're willing to accept that in settlement.
What does your firm charge for these services?
We charge $250 an hour, but there really are a couple drivers. For one, it's the number of creditors that you have that really drive what our fees are, because the process of settling the debt involves sending over an authorization, finding the appropriate person to talk to at the institution, which if there's a big bank or lending institution can actually take quite a while to find somebody who has settlement authority. And then and then talking to them about the debt. And if you have to do this 10 times because you have 10 different creditors, obviously that makes it more expensive. So it really isn't the amount of the debt that you owe, it's the number of creditors that you have. And then of course it's the sort of deal that you want. If you're willing to pay 50 cents on the dollar or something like that, it's much easier to get that done quickly than if you wanted a lesser amount of money. So really, you're in the driver's seat about what your expectations are, with the understanding that it might take us longer to get, the deal, the sort of deal that you want, if at all possible.
Well, thank you for the information. I look forward to settling this debt.
You're quite welcome, Chris.